everyone, welcome back to my channel. This is Catherine. So this is the second part of my colouring chat where I was testing out the marker pens from the works. So I have sped this up so we should be able to get through it in the one colour and chat. I am going to carry on using the markers from the works as much as I can. But there are times when I don't have the marker that I need, so I'm supplementing them with the Bic marking markers. So I'm colouring out of art animals from Sunlife drawing. So we started this picture last time. I have no idea what it is going to be. So as we're going along, see if you can guess what you think it is. And write it in the comments below and put a timestamp on it, so that we know at what point you thought, hey, I know what that is. Because at the moment, I'm not even sure the numbers are the right way around. I wouldn't be surprised if this ended up being a landscape picture and they've put the numbers the wrong way around. That's how confused I am by it. So, before this video started, you will have seen a little poster about the theme of for this week. So this week's theme is tigers, because it is International Tiger Day on the 29th of July. So if you want to join me and colour anything tigery, and then post it up on Instagram, tag me, so I can see what everyone's done, that would be amazing, and we'll celebrate beautiful tigers together. I apologise if you see my head. I haven't quite got my setup quite right yet. That will improve over time, but of course with the colouring chat, once you've started, that's the end of that, isn't it? It's going, isn't it? So we've just got to go with it. Okay, so I thought I'd tell you about what books I've been reading over lockdown and COVID-19. I do enjoy my reading. Sometimes I physically read, other times I'm listening to an audio book, but that still counts. So I love audiobooks because you can do two things at once, can't you? So either I can be reading them when I'm commuting to work, or I can read them and do chores. I can read them and do my colouring at the same time, so that's like double hobby. Amazing. So I really do love audiobooks, and if you're reading classics, there's quite a lot out there for free. So as you can see, sometimes with the works markers I'm really struggling, having to go over things more than once. They really are dry, so I'm going to have to try topping them up with some alcohol, see if that gets them going, because at the moment they're just super painful to use. So I don't see me carry on using them in the state they're in now. I mean, they're brand new markers, the colours should be really vibrant, and that is not what I'm getting from them. Okay, so back to the books. So, these aren't in the order that I read them at all. But the first book I've got on my list is The Familiars by Stacey Halls. So this is a book, it's a modern book, it's not a classic, and it's about a young noblewoman called Fleetwood Shuttleworth, and she's pregnant with a child. All of her previous pregnancies have failed. She gets herself a midwife, but her midwife is accused of witchcraft. So this is a rich and compelling novel set against the frenzy of the real Pendle Hill witch trials. I've been to Pendle, where all this took place. It was a real thing. They really had witch trials. So this novel explores the rights of 17th century women and raises the question, was witch hunting really women hunting? So any woman with any sort of skill, especially if it was to do with healing or properties of plants, would often be accused. So that's what that book was about. It is a fiction novel, but some of the characters did really exist. So that was an amazing book. I really enjoyed that. Witch trials is a subject that I find very fascinating. How scared people were of the old religions and the old beliefs, and it turns into this literal witch hunt. So I read that one. I gave that 5 stars because that was amazing. At some point you're going to see the video jump forward. That's because I hadn't realised that my camera had stopped. I can't see the camera from this angle, so that's why that might happen. Sorry guys. I have altered that now so I can see the camera, and you don't have to see my head at any point, so that is also good. So another book that I read was Interview with the Vampire by Anne Rice. So this is the first one. I have seen the film, but I don't know if I fell asleep through it. I wasn't really that interested in the film itself, so I didn't know the story at all. So that was good, that was enjoyable. The story is portrayed to you as if the vampire is giving an interview to somebody, but that idea doesn't really sell to me. He isn't talking like it's an interview, but I mean, does that matter really? It's so minor. So yeah, I did enjoy it, but I don't feel compelled to read any of the other ones. But yeah, it was quite a depressing story, really. Quite miserable. So yeah. So then I read a book for my book club. I Know Who You Are by Alice Feeney. So this is like a murder mystery type story. Let me get the details up. I'm not very good at reviewing books. Like, you know when you have to write book reviews at school? No, I'm not really very good at that. So this book does have the time changing thing where you're following one story at one timeline and then you'll jump back in time to another timeline. But it works well in this book. It's necessary rather than just somebody trying to be clever. So it is a thriller. It does involve some murders. It also does involve child abuse. And stalking and some weird things. And I will say that the final twist at the end, you know, the whodunit, I had no idea. I had to be told. I had to be told who it was. And normally, if I'm watching a TV programme or something like that, I have guessed. Not necessarily early on, but quite often I have figured it out. The clues that we've been given, I've figured it out. But this book, no, I didn't get it. So yeah, it is quite shocking. Some bits are a bit sick, but it is like a thriller, so I don't mind that. I've read a lot of James Patterson, a lot of his stuff can be sick. So I did enjoy it. I think I gave it 4.5 out of 5. So yeah. Sorry, there's my head again. I do apologise. I normally kind of get really close to my colouring so I can see what I'm doing. So that's why I'm struggling to keep my head away. Okay, next book that I read was The Absolutely True Diary of a Part-Time Indian by Sherman Lexie. Okay, so that was an interesting read. So it's about Native American Indians, not Asian Indians. Because I didn't even know that until I started reading the book. I try not to read things until I know what, and until I don't like to read about a book or a film before I watch or read it. I don't want to spoil it or anything. So quite often I'll go into something and I'm like, this is appalling. So there you go. So this is about a young Native American who has been forced to grow up on one of the reservations, and he goes to one of the reservation schools until one day he decides, no, I'm going to go to a better school and learn more stuff. He's the only Native American at the school, hence why he becomes a part-time Indian. Because he's Indian when he's at home, he's kind of not when he's at the school. The book is intended for you to read it and look at the artwork at the same time. So that was okay. I gave it 4 stars out of 5. It was certainly very different. Look at the state of these pens. They're driving me mad. At this point, I'm really starting to get annoyed. Look at the state of that. So frustrating. So frustrating. And very disappointing. But we'll see if the alcohol sorts out. Okay, so then I've read The Mysterious Island by Jules Verne. So this is one of his Extraordinary Journey books. It was good. I enjoyed it. I enjoy all of his stuff. But sometimes his books, parts of it are very wordy, where he's teaching you. He's teaching you science and things like that. So there's one part in this particular book where they come across. So they're trapped on this island, on this deserted island. But there's a group of them and they've all got different skills, and they're able to build a little village and a farm and all this incredible stuff because they've each got different skills. And one of them knows some biology stuff, and they come across this tree, and he says, oh look, here's this tree, it's a member of the whatever family. Within that family there are trees that can do this, and we use them for this, and the list goes on and on and on. And that isn't even the tree that's in front of us. Those are other trees in the family. So that can be quite tiresome and maybe a bit boring, because you want to get on with the story, and actually I don't need to know about this tree to this detail to follow the story and enjoy it. But my dad was saying to me that a lot of these books, they were issued in instalments in newspapers. So they were paid, not by the word, but you needed to pad, to get your money's worth. So there's that. And also a lot of people weren't educated, so they didn't know stuff. So they would have found these facts fascinating. See, I'm sorry guys. I'm sorry. I had no idea it had stopped recording. It should really make a noise, shouldn't it? And say, woo, I've stopped recording. Because clearly I don't know. Because you did it, Mr. Phone. I didn't do it. So apologies. But anyway, seeing that there's a lot more of it, do you know what it's a picture of yet? Hey? In the comments below, put your guesses. Yeah. But yes, if you're going to read a classic, you've got to accept they were written for a different audience. It wasn't written for you. It was written for somebody else. So you just have to accept these things, which I do. So yes, I really enjoyed that. I think I gave it 4 out of 5. Because there are other books by Jules Verne that I enjoy a lot more, like 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. I enjoyed that more. So yeah, if you've never read anything by Jules Verne, I would recommend giving it a go, because these are books that we've heard of, so I like to read them. Don't ask why I'm not colouring. I don't know, sometimes my eye gets drawn to something and I go off and colour that first, when really I should have finished that section down there. Hey ho, what are you going to do? Okay, so then I read The Handmaid's Tale by Margaret Atwood. This is because I wanted to watch the TV series, but to do that I would have to pay. I was not willing to pay. Not at this point. I've got plenty of television, so I don't need to pay for something else. So I decided I'd read the book instead. Again, I had no idea what it was about. It's just, I've heard of it. But yeah, I really enjoyed that book. Let me get it up on here. I'm on Goodreads. I log all my books on there. So if you're interested in friending me, whatever it is they call it, then just let me know in the comments, and we can arrange that, and you can see what's on like my wish list, things I want to read and stuff like that, things that I have read. So this is about these women who are handmaids, and their job is they have to do chores and stuff, but they're mainly all about reproducing. So they'll live in a household where there's a man, and that man has a wife, but it's the handmaid that they use to make babies. It's really strange. It's a totally new society where this is going on. So it is set on Earth. It's nothing like that, but it's set in the future and weird things have gone on. I really enjoyed that. Gave it 5 stars. Funny, unexpected, horrifying and altogether convincing, The Handmaid's Tale is at once scathing satire, dire warning and tour de force. So there you go. I also read Ross Poldark, which is the first of the Poldark series by Winston Graham. Yeah, yeah, it's set in the olden days. Some of you may have seen the TV series. I have not watched any of the Poldark TV series. But it is something else that I've heard of yet again, so I wanted to read it. Oh, this pen is driving me bananas, so I give up and I get another one. Because I don't remember me saying there were 2 blacks in the pack. So this is the second black out of the works markers. So I gave that a try instead. So Ross Poldark, he's kind of a gentleman. He's got a bit of money. He's got land, I suppose more than money. He goes to the market and he sees this cat and dog whose tails have been tied together by these kids. Oh, it's awful, really awful. But there's this little girl and she's screaming and crying because it's her dog. And Ross sees it. She's hurt, she's abused by her family, so he takes her home. And it's all things that you wouldn't dare do, really. He ends up keeping her. She works for him. And I won't give anything else away, but it's very strange, I can tell you. But yeah, I did enjoy that. Okay, a really good book that I read a lot in lockdown. A lot. 1,000 Ships by Natalie Haynes. Okay, now this is about the story of Troy. Okay, which is set back in the times of ancient Greece. But this story comes from all the different women that were affected at the time, and it is told through their stories, their tales. It is amazing. I can't sing the praises of this book enough. So each chapter is by a different woman. Some of those women are gods. Some of them are peasants. Some of them die. Some of them survive. Really well written, really enjoyed it. So I would recommend that. I read a couple of The Witcher books. Oh, I'm going to butcher this man's name. Andrzej Sapkowski. I apologise. There's a lot of consonants together there that I can't say all at once. So this is The Witcher that was made into a TV series on Netflix. Yeah, so I have watched the series 1, and that's what got me onto this. I wanted to read some of the books. So I've read The Last Wish, which is Witcher number 0.5, and Sword of Destiny, which is Witcher number 0.75. So I haven't actually read book 1 yet. But I feel if there's background to be had, then I'm going to read it. So I'm not reading them in publication order. I'm reading them in kind of time order. You know? Anybody want to have a guess at what this is yet? No? It's I reckon I can spot a nostril, if if that helps anybody. Okay. 3 more books that I've read in lockdown. The Art of Dying by Ambrose Parry. So this is a good old classic whodunit crime set in Scotland. I don't know what year it's set. A good while ago. Yeah, back in the olden days. But yeah, really good. Really enjoyed that. But as a point of note, that is book 2 of a series. I haven't read book 1 yet. I do need to do that. You can read book 2 as a standalone, but I would probably read book 1 first. But yeah, I really enjoyed that. Set kind of at the times when people wore top hats, perhaps, maybe a bit older. Yeah, so that was really good. I also read the 39 Steps by John Butchen. That was so boring. I'm sorry. It isn't very long, but I didn't enjoy that. I'd struggle to tell you what it's about as well, so I won't go on about that. Last book that I read was Dracula by Bram Stoker. I have read this before, but I've totally forgot it. Forgot everything about it, which is pretty embarrassing. So I read it again. Really amazing book. This is one of those books that you read and you're like, yeah, it's obvious why this is a classic. It's obvious why this is still famous today. Well written, cleverly written, doesn't give anything away. It's a shame that we already know who Dracula is. You know, I can imagine when this first came out, reading this book and not knowing who Dracula was, because it's a brand new book and you haven't read it yet. It would have been amazing. So try not to think about that when you read it, and that will help you enjoy it a lot more. There are bits in the story that you won't know about. A lot of the films and the TV series and stuff, they've gone off on their own tangent. So it's nice to read the original source. And as I say, I do enjoy reading classics. So that is everything that I've read during lockdown. So as I say, if you are interested in books and you're on Goodreads, I'm happy to friend with people. We can see what each other's reading, and you'll see what I read in book club as well. So we're coming to the end. Anybody got any guesses as to what this is? No? Last chance. Apparently it's a moose. I looked, but apparently it's a moose. Right, okay guys, I will see you in the next video. Do join me colouring in a picture of a tiger, and I'll see you soon. Bye guys.